Wait. It goes, That's my image of with the hair. Yeah. Hello. Allison Hemme here. I'm coming online today to record the energy that just came in. I just listened to a YouTube video that was a piece done. I can't think of his name right now, and I can't back up to find out. But Jordan Peterson was talking along with him, and this other gentleman was an author of some book describing and even stating that it was his theory, and there isn't any other alternative theory for why the data shows that around, like the advancements of technology, how the advancements of the smartphone came into play around 2010, 2011, 2012, the front-facing camera, and then by 2014, boom, the children have been rewired. The rates of depression and self-harm, girls skyrocketing, 100%, 200%. Boys, they said it was a curve. For girls, it was a straight shot. He said they were proposing they said they were proposing around 2014 that it was a situation of coddling, too much protection, which is interesting because I was impregnated by the devil, Jorge Magaña Vasquez. Vasquez. My mother sent me to go meet the guy in January of 2008, sent me to go run an errand to get some propane, sent me into town, which was 8 miles from her house, and there was a little corner store, a gas station actually, that was probably 4 miles away. But she sent me specifically to Ace Hardware in town to go get some propane. Had a funny attitude about it too, like, here you go, here's a 20, why don't you go get some, like for me, your gas, go run me an errand. So I get, pull around to the back, she says, he'll be right out there. Okay. Pull in. And who's out there on a stool? Some tall, handsome Latin man, double dimples, just about as pretty as they get. I got my life in the back. I live in my car, basically, at this point. I had just come back from Hawaii. Well, let me take that back. I was in between a job. This was a different time. I was in between, and I was staying with my friend, Juliana. I had a job. I worked doing due diligence audits for Bohan. And so they sent us on auditing jobs, and they'd put us in hotels and fly us places, give us cars even. So it wasn't a big deal to me. I wasn't living in my car, but I was living out of my car, if you will. Staying with my friend Juliana, going on job, stuff like that. So anyway, my life was in the back seat. It's not like I was like trying to show off myself, not whatsoever. So I open the window and it's like, hey, I'll get some propane. Okay, all right. So he goes to go give it to the service person, and he's like trying to talk to me. He ends up asking me like for my phone. He's like, oh, let me see your phone real quick. I'm like, okay, whatever. I handed it to him literally within seconds. It seemed he handed it back. I don't understand what was going on. But he ends up saying to me, you should call me sometime. I was like, okay, well, why don't you give me your number? He goes, you already have it. That was wild to me. I'm thinking, how the hell does he know my phone, to input his phone number, to get in there? Anyway, that was sometime in January. I remember calling him February 14th to say Happy Valentine's Day, remember me? And he took my call or called me back and said he was in Utah. He was finishing up some business there and he'd be back. I'll call you when I get back. Well, February 19th was the day that we went out for the first time. He, because my mom her property is in Phelan, California, like near Wrightwood, a mountain high kind of area, Southern California. And and that's where I met him at the Ace Hardware in Phelan, the town. And I was staying with my friend Juliana in Costa Mesa. So it's about an hour away. But we talked. He said he'll drive down. We'll go out. He comes down, picks me up. We got on the road. I remember him pulling over, and he had to throw away a bag, like it looks like a brown bag with a big bottle in it. But I didn't ask any questions, but that's what I noticed. And he threw it away, and then he gets back in the car. We go off, go to a cute little place. Had a good time, but I will point out, I don't know why I'm saying it, but might as well put it on the record. He's a real handsome guy. I remember him going to get us a couple more drinks and coming back, and the girl that was sitting next to us, her and her boyfriend, was flirting with him. This guy is just kind of like, I should have stopped dating him the second that he blew me off on our second date. I should have stopped dating him, but I didn't. He blew me off on our second date. I was calling him. He didn't answer. Kept calling him the next day. And he finally takes my call and says, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to blow you off, but a girl flew in from Utah. I forgot that she was flying in. And I just dropped her off at the mall. I said, what? Oh my God. What did you do? Did you sleep with her? He said, yes. Did I ask, or did his mother say that? I don't remember how I found out that this was like, I don't know what, I said, you need to send her home. Why did I act like that? Well, because we had a good time or whatever. I don't know. I felt like that was probably me under a spell too. I drove up there. And I told him, you're going to, because he said he dropped her off at the mall. So I drove up there and I went with him to go where he had dropped her off, which was like over there in Ontario, far away. Obviously there's an airport nearby. And so I saw him, he parked, he went over to just like some restaurant. I saw a girl like walk out with one of those like draggy kind of suitcases. And she like looked at his car and like looked at him and like walked away. And he came back. I should have stopped dating him. But anyway, why did I start with that story? Propane, the devil. I was talking about the technology. I was impregnated by the devil. Mind you, I was dating this guy for about a month. We started having sex using condoms. And then there came the day when we didn't have any condoms. And that's a stupid decision for any girl to make. FYI, stop having sex. Don't have sex. It's not necessary. If anybody wants to pleasure you, you don't need any penetration. And if they don't have the time and energy and effort to provide you pleasure without penetration, there's something wrong with the picture. Penetration is dangerous. It can lead to children. Now we know abortions are against the law. Don't do it. Sexually transmitted diseases. But not only that, but it lets them insert themselves in your energy field. And they even have science on that, like says that like there's a resident energy that is left behind. So my point is respect yourself. Pleasure doesn't come from penetration. But anyway, so on April 9th, I remember we were at his house. We were in the living room, getting frisky. And then next thing you know, he puts me in like a wrestling grip, like behind my head where I can't even move. And he comes inside me and stops. And I was like, what did you? It happened so fast that there was nothing I could do but be like, what did you do that for? I thought you wanted that. What are you talking about? We got in an argument. That was pretty much the last time I had sex with him. But immediately, literally, that day, I think, I felt like I was pregnant. But not just that I felt like I was pregnant, because I had 3 abortions. I was 29, almost 30. The thought comes through my mind like, oh my God, I'm not going to have another abortion. This is not acceptable. I already know that the last one was just too much for me to handle. I remember the last abortion that I had was when I went up to Northern California and I ended up getting pregnant and I lost a ring. I lost a ring and it was an emerald. And I loved that ring. It had this little inclusion in it that was like an imperfection, but it was like the most beautiful thing. And I love gemstones. It's just, I remember losing that ring and I remember telling myself, you know what? That was the ring. That ring represented this lost child that wasn't being killed. I didn't kill the baby. I postponed it. That's what I remember telling myself. So when I got pregnant, oh, no. I'm having this baby. But I felt connected to this baby. Well, so I started staying with him at his mom's place. Within a couple weeks, I remember him going to, he said he was going to go to the gym. It's gone for like 6-7 hours. He comes back all sweaty, like acting all paranoid, hiding behind the curtain. Mind you, this is a property that's like 10 acres. You know, so the house is over here and it's like a long distance from the road. But the road is dirt, sand. People drive by. Like, what's he looking out the window for? I didn't understand at the time that he had a crack addiction or anything like that, but so it was odd. It was very weird. And for that whole entire day, I couldn't talk on my phone or move. His mother acted like she knew all about it, and she looked at me like, don't say anything. I was like a hostage of his for the day. And I remember when I went to go use my phone, she was like, do that. Yeah, I think he took my phone from me. I couldn't. It was very weird. He finally ended up falling asleep. The next morning, I remember him saying to me, I'd like to, would you come and sit down? I'd like to talk to you. So I sit down, his mother, he's like, so I wanted to tell you what's going on. I made some poor choices in my past. When we went to Utah. He tells me how basically he had a child when he was just out of high school. And he took off. I don't remember what he said about that, but he might have, he postured against the mother of the child. Postured against the mother of the child, like she was this or something like that. He ends up leaving. Basically, he ends up in Utah at some point. Worked for Blue Jet Airlines. Ends up getting into a crack addiction, which resulted in him flipping out, doing some armed robbery to 2 stores, evading police, and getting arrested and going to prison. That his mother ended up paying for him to go to a rehabilitation for the majority of his prison stay, which he completed with flying colors and was released. And then after he was released, he relapsed and got arrested, breaking and entering, doing some crack. And his mom said, you need to come back to California. He said, that's when I came back to California. And that was just at the end of that 2007, because I met him in January. And he was driving an Audi, and his mom had bought him a nice computer, which he also said he broke when I called him on Valentine's Day, and we went out on the 19th. And what I found out then was he had a nice, beautiful computer that he broke accidentally by dropping it. Like, these are the kinds of behaviors of people who don't treat things well because they're being provided for them. But anyway, so he says to me, I'm trying to be a nice person. He's admitting that he had a thing, but he didn't say anything about what happened yesterday. But I just, well, that's great. I'm proud of you. I'm happy to hear that you overcame it. Well, another week, I'm going to go to the gym, and another 6 hours later, I'm calling him on the phone. What the fuck is going on? Where are you? Where are you? We got into an argument. I get a phone, and I think I ended up hanging the phone up on him, and he calls me back, and he says, my mother heard how you were talking to me, and she wants you to leave within the hour, or she will call the police on you. What? Oh, I'm out of here. Don't worry about it. I'll be gone. And that was that. For my pregnancy, this man was ixnay, offskay, whatever your fuckskay. Bye-bye. I got a job. I can handle this. Well, I stayed at my mom's friend Robin's house in Santa Ana during my pregnancy. But my point is that Alexandria came into my body and my life, and I felt connected to her like nobody's business. And she has been the love of my life. I worked hard and provided for us. We lived in Thousand Oaks, California. I worked for Bank of America. We had a nice condo. She had known the same friends in the neighborhood since she was 2 years old in her preschool. The love of my life. This man was never going to be my partner, never going to co-parent with me. This is my child. You're a addict, problem person, rapist, basically. But I was nice to him. I wasn't trying to treat him like that. That's not nice. Of course, I kept him in the loop, talked to him. As she was growing up, I even had her call him on the phone. And I tried to even help him. And I'm not going to get into those details because I'm not trying to tell that story, because I'm trying to talk about this technology thing and why my theory, he said there's no other alternative theory about what happened in 2014. I've got one. Basically, 2012, he comes around, like knocking on my door late at night. I'm in an apartment complex upstairs. You know what I mean? It's a quiet neighborhood. It's Thousand Oaks. What do you want? Who you got in there? Nobody, dude. Go. He's like living in his car in the area. I need to go to the bathroom. Let me in. Damn it. Fine. She's sleeping. This is how the guy squirms his way in. He's in there for whoever knows how long. I'm in there on the couch. He comes out. He's relaxed. Sits down, trying to schmoozle. I'm not trying to be rude. I'm not trying to be anything. I'm just... Well, he ends up coming on to me in a forceful way, almost as if he was drunk or something. I let it happen because I wasn't about to have a situation. It turns out I ended up pregnant. I even went to the doctor, started going to the doctor. I had already started going to the doctor. That Christmas, Alec and I went up to my parents' house here in Vegas. He comes up to meet up with us. I end up bleeding on her birthday, December 31st. Interestingly enough, I'll just point this on the record. I brought them a bottle of Saint Germain. And the morning time Janine was fixing breakfast and things like that, she gives me a glass of, something with ice. I take a sip of it. I notice it's Saint Germain. I'm like, what the fuck is that all about? So I put it down. That night I bleed. I come home, go to the doctor. The doctor says, you have a molar pregnancy. You need to go to the emergency room tomorrow. Now, right away. But it was actually the next day. I have a DNC. Okay. I have to go to a DNC. My daughter, and my girlfriend, she ended up helping Tammy. And I end up bleeding like within days. I end up having to go to the emergency room again. And another time to the emergency room. This situation, I was told, was a molar pregnancy where my fetus was unviable. And it had none of my information. None of it. It was all paternal. I'm not worried about nothing but just getting better. I'm thinking twice about it. I almost die from 3 of them. They send me to go start chemotherapy. I go through all the things you got to go through to start chemotherapy. And on the day that I was supposed to start, I couldn't miss another meeting. I canceled it. But I had to go get my blood because I had to make my blood tested twice a week for my HCG values. And the thing dropped 1 point, which it's in the millions. I said, you know what? I'm not going to start chemotherapy. I don't. Thank you anyway. I was HCG free 6 months later. So they tried to kill me with chemotherapy. And this was the beginning of 2013. Let me tell you something. I was born with the God gene, the God code. And now I understand it to not just be a single strand, like it says in John 3:16, the monogene of God. It's the monogene that's in addition. It's a 3rd strand. And there's something in the Bible about a 3-strand cord is stronger than anything. Yeah. So I was born with this 3rd strand. And now that's what makes sense because anyway, I've had to figure this out on my own. I was born with this God strand. And I have also been led to know by the intelligence that was because of the wow signal. The wow signal came in August 15th. I was in the womb. I was born November 19th, 1977. So, by the way, I don't know if they know that, but I'm pretty sure they would. But in any event, I was born with this God strand. Was everybody in the womb on August 15th, 1977 given this God code? I don't know. That's neither here nor there. I actually think that it would make sense that that's how it would work. Because otherwise I would think that wow signal would have been directed at the hospital or something like that. No, the wow signal came into the earth, and I think that it would have affected all of us in the womb. And that's possibly why there's a lot of people in the world, everywhere. There was children in the womb everywhere. And that's exactly what makes sense to me that would happen. The wow signal came in. It was the upgrade to humanity. And all of us in the womb received that signal who were in the womb on that day. And that's a class of people that they could know who was born at that, who was born from that, you know what I'm saying? So when I was born, I'm pretty sure that I know that they were looking for it. And I believe that they started chipping people maybe in 1972. Semiconductors, chips on our body. Interestingly enough, in my childhood, there was controversy talked about people being chipped. They don't talk about that anymore, but it's true. Well, how do they chip it? I don't know how, where, but the pricking of the foot and all this stuff, whatever the case may be. I didn't know that I was chipped or monitored or surveilled throughout my entire life. I didn't know any of this. So why am I bringing all this up? Because it's important. When I was born, I had something that was valuable. And I believe that all the rest was too. But that value was something that they were collecting, data. The beginning of the data gathering. Stealing of the intellectual property because intellectual property being, and I found the data where it records my movements, my hormonal secretions. I've even found that data to the extent where I was in a situation, I had my camera recording, and the person I was with threw a chair at me, and the screen went blank. And then I looked at the data later, and it and identified it as like a rock, like there was a rock thrown, and that it put me in danger. The computer identified that I was in danger. That's the first time I saw something like that. So they're collecting our data. We're talking chipped. We're talking every single piece of data they've been able to collect since I was born, since we were born. They made a market from this data that's like those futures and all these other things that they're not going to talk about. But the money market men know about it. The medical field knows about it. The science field knows about it. The governments know about it. The military knows about it. And who else knows about it? Well, the families, I'm sure, may have been told something or whatever to cause them to need to believe that they needed to bring their children in for certain kinds of testing. Hearing testing, eye testing, this sorts of all of it. They were looking for psychic abilities. They've been testing things like that with the CIA and all that stuff. Right. Why? Because they knew that there was something special and powerful about it that they wanted to control. So therefore, that's called research and development. Research and develop it. Okay. Since I was a child, I was treated like a tomboy and just rejected. My dad was remarried, and he always talked horribly about my mother. I wanted to be with my mother. I fought my dad so hard to live with my mother. When I was in first grade, he finally let me do it. That's how hard I pushed. Well, that didn't go very well. She lived with her boyfriend. I moved schools around. I had to call my dad one day when he was beating her up, and that was last time I saw her for a couple of years. My mother's relationship to her child is extremely important and necessary and not to be violated. My daughter is the most important person in the whole entire world to me, the whole universe. And she's the sweetest, most loving. God, I love her. She'd come up to me and hug me all day long, every day. I love you so much. She'd go like this. I'm never going to move out, Mom. Oh, really? Not even when you go to college? She goes, nope, never going to go. So the smaller pregnancy happens in the 2013. And 2013 is when everything went downhill. They tried to kill me with chemotherapy. Then they were monitoring some lump in my boob. Then that summer, I remember my boss telling me, you could take a leave, the maternity leave. I was like, what? Really? Like the Family Leave Act. Well, that'd be great because I could just really use a couple weeks. Well, I take the leave. And next thing you know, I'm getting contacted by the HR department saying, we need you to get your information in. What are you talking about? Well, your what is it? Behavioral health. There's a difference between medical leave and behavioral health leave. Behavioral health leave, I need to get psychiatrist. I go, what are you talking about? This is medical. Well, it says this and it says this. And if you don't get the information, then it's going to be canceled and you might not even be able to get back into work. What? They were all meddling participants. Insurance, employers, all of it. I've got something they want, and I don't even know it. And I've got something that they need to experiment on, my daughter. Because what they understand, they being the dirty, rotten scoundrels at the top, who are aliens from somewhere. I was impregnated by one on purpose. They need to research, and they need to do experimentation between the two of us. They're researching quantum entanglement. They know that when they abuse you sexually as a child, that they'll disassociate you. He needed to get his hands on her. They worked me out of my own livelihood by assaulting, medical assault, mental assault, all of it. Concerns and threats against my financial stability, all of it. Family, separating themselves, distancing themselves, all of it. What happened in 2014 was my child was abducted for 34 days. And I got her home, but that was the beginning of the court's involvement, the family involvement of the final heist, which took place October 25th, 2016. My daughter and I are named in the Bible as 666, literally, Allison and Alec Hemi, 666. 603 score, 603 and 20, 623. Allison Vania Hemi. And Alexandria with a Y, 623. 623 in Greek is Apollyon. Apollyon, the leader of the locusts that comes and kicks the enemy's ass for God, also known as Gaddon. 623 in Hebrew is Asaph, the teacher, the good shepherd. My daughter and I, Allison and Alec Hemi, 666. Allison Vania Hemi, 623. Alexandria with a Y, 623. Her name, the way it was spelled, Aleksander, is 1 point lower, 622. When I change the ALE to ALY, it goes to 623, literally. We're named in the Bible because we're important. And that's two of us, 666. We're the twofold. Who else is in the Bible in the twos? Two suffering servants from Isaiah 53. Fascinating fact unsealed. I don't know if you can see it. Curious. It's a fat arm, but whatever the case may be, you can still see it. It looks like a vein in the shape of it. Is this one still here? Yeah, this one's still here. This is the seventh seal. It actually looks like the constellation of Orion as well. Oh, and it actually looks like a 6, by the way. But this is the 7th one, and the 6 is also important. See if you can get it. And see. Okay. Where was I? Bible. Suffering servants from 53. Who is the arm of the Lord been revealed? This girl. 2 witnesses. The witnesses have the power to move heaven and earth during this persecution time, right? This, what do they call it? The tribulation? The 2 beasts. You almost can say God and Satan are 2. Man and woman are 2. Truth and lie are 2. Sun and moon are 2. Heaven and earth are 2. Morning and night are 2, or day and night. The old world and the new world, right? God will make a new heaven and a new earth. Well, in their story, it's father and son, but it's actually mother and daughter. And that matches with the ancient Egyptian understanding of the mother that cup over everything, in the stars and the primordial waters, and the daughter that is her progeny. That's how you have eternal life. You give it to your child. And I'm talking to mothers because we're the ones with the wounds. We're the ones capable of passing it on. It's not about fathers and sons. That's what man did to pervert the Holy Scripture. So because man perverted the Holy Scripture is exactly why the Bible reads from the basis of the swap story. That was inspired by the word of the devil, the inspiration of the devil in his ear. Writing these logos. Does that mean that I think that the entire Bible from top to bottom is evil? No. No. As a matter of fact, I don't even believe that the devil exists. I believe that this is the resonant energy and how it works. The logos contains so much truth, so many layers of truth that are all evident that that's how I know it's straight holy scriptures. But God's truth is the small book weaved within. From top to bottom, which we also know there's apocrypha, stuff that it's not even in there, that should be there. Okay, so from top to, so the Bible is not books where every lord is God. In these stories, these lords are masters, men, kings, husbands. Small book weaved within. Why would God name Alexandria and I as 666? First of all, it's been over 9 years ago since she was kidnapped. I'm a good person. My record and proof, well, the record as of right now, they're trying to, they demolished my name and my record. But I'm saying a true investigator knows I'm a good guy. It doesn't take you long to discern my energy. I'm a good guy. I'm not the Antichrist. Not whatsoever, and certainly not myself and my daughter. How could I be an Antichrist if it's Allison and Alec? That's my daughter. She's Christ, the daughter. I'm the bride of the Spirit. Holy Spirit says in John 3:16, for love, God created the universe and created this universe to create a vessel to put the Holy Spirit in so that the one that believes in him will have eternal life. Right? Because I believe in myself. I'm giving birth to a female. When a woman is like, honey, we're pregnant, she's thinking about serving her husband. She's thinking about serving her husband, and her husband wants a firstborn son. Her husband wants a son. And when you have a son, there is your proof. My mom told me in my day, you were lucky if you birthed if you had a daughter first, you're lucky to make it out of the hospital, she said. I believe it. I believe it. Which may be the indicator that my mom was also born with a Y chromosome, which is what it appears to be also the case. So there's a God strand. But I think they're convoluting this Y chromosome. They've convoluted the truth about reproduction because they need to make it 50-50. It's fathers and mothers. You can't just say it's your child. Actually, it is. Actually, it is, and actually it's true. And the science field is defrauding humanity. But they don't have to worry about telling us the truth. Like, well, the truth's eventually going to come out. Well, by then, we're going to have you all plugged into computers. So they're not worried about it. But in any event, this is how you know man has got something weird going on in his brain. Firstborn sons, again, this is all a lie. It's not even the truth. It doesn't even reason out. They've had the ability to do like genetic testing for maybe about 100 years. They know that the blood comes from the mother. The blood is passed down from the mother. So they convolute the story about sperm and X's and Y's. The blood comes from your mother. When a man infertilizes a woman, what he inserts is his code. And she silences it, P57. And that activates her imprinting gene. She imprints on him her imagination. And so therefore, it's just like what Moses is talking about in the Bible, watching those cows. If you breed a cow looking at like a stallion, you're going to have a better horse or a better cow that's born. It's truth. This is what they're doing. And they've been all about breeding and eugenics and wanting to make a perfect race, which is why they don't want their children, their girls, having sex with anybody that's not perfect in their eyes, because their children, these daughters, are the way that are their ticket to perfection. Get it? So that's why the kings and queens all call their daughter. And if maybe we'll make a negotiation with another kingdom, they'll have their daughter marry off to this other kingdom, because the daughters are the key to perfection in their mind, that they have to control who and what, because it's their key, they believe. That's their woman, that's their slave wife. In their mind, they believe they own us. That's why they wrote the story that way. God gave you a helper. What? Just so you know, the way that their story reads, God made Adam and told him to fill the earth. And it wasn't until he was trying to give him a companion, and the animals weren't good enough, that he finally decided to make a woman. Well, how was man going to fill the earth before the woman came around, if that was just his helper? Right. And ribs pop out of bodies magically and turn into people also. Do you think it's possible, if you consider the alternative, that maybe God made a man and fairies make women, or maybe God made a woman and she birthed a boy out of her body? Oh, that's reasonable. Right. Well, there you go. There you go. Listen to any of these podcasts about men are depressed. Men don't feel men don't feel appreciated. Men are feeling broken. Men aren't motivated. Ask them, well, why do you think that? Because what they talk about. I was just watching another one, or I saw another headline about Jordan Peterson saying, why men lose interest in their wives. And he was trying to get into this thing about like how we feel unappreciated. We have the run-of-the-mill mundane life, and they don't seem to appreciate us in things like this. He said relationships are sacrificed, all the stuff about that sacrifice word again. In other words, he's imagining himself as the one who's having to sacrifice himself for this marriage thing that his woman's not even helping him. There's the key. Helper. In the Jewish religion, the menorah, the Hanukkah, it's a holiday for 8 days that requires this one candle. They call it the helper candle. And this helper candle is not sacred. It's just the one they use to light the other candles. But the story comes from a circumstance where somebody had only 1 day's worth of oil to light the candle, but it stayed lit for 8 days. So this candle's actually pretty magical. Sounds to me like without that one candle, you wouldn't have any other candles. Well, the black magic they spell, the black magic curse that they spell cast in their rituals every year is to remind everybody that that's just a helper candle. It's not sacred. It can be used for anything, but don't touch those 8 candles. Don't you touch those 8 candles and they will stay lit. Black magic. Black magic knitting their blanket, knitting their story of controlling women. Controlling women and daughters. So a man sees himself as the king that was given a helper, and his job is to fill the earth. He sees the rest of his satanic story, talking about obedience to your husband and virtuous women. Those weren't written by God. Those were written by the Satan in man's mind. They teach them this, and they talk about this world stuff, and men are powerful, men are strong, and men just need their helper, and men can do things. So they uplift this image of Jesus, who sacrifices himself, and his Father that sends him to die for everyone's sins. So what does that teach them? That teaches them that God knows that you're a sinner, even though God doesn't want you to sin. So God sends his own perfect child so that you can torture them to death, so that you can be forgiven. Well, didn't God need the child to give birth to somebody? Hello? That's a helper. That's a helper vessel. It's not sacred. Forget about that. So men are growing up in our communities believing they, first of all, are the creation of God, are the ones who have to fill the world, are the ones who are given a helper, are the ones who sacrifice themselves for the good of humanity. And the good of humanity is forgiving criminals because it's just their nature, driven by that whore that fed him that fruit. She's the one that caused us to fall. It's her fault. She seduced us. Really? Is that really what you think? You weren't supposed to even touch the woman because the woman can generate. She can have a child without male fertilization. That's the truth. He was told not to touch her, the midst of her garden. So the truth and the lie are a big deal. It's not just night and day like you get both of them every time. It isn't 50-50 like take it or lose it. This isn't Semitic, which says 50-50, man, woman, one's the leader, one's the helper. That's Semitism. Have you heard anyone anywhere explain what they believe Semitism means? Nope. But they are shoving it down your throat while they're shoving war fighting and starvation, genocide, hunting. They got them cornered, they got them caged in, and they're hunting them down, and they're enjoying it. They're dancing on their murder. In the name of God, in the name of some pursuit, in the name of some belief that land belongs to them. You know what the land inheritance is talked about in the Bible? The children. The inheritance that a woman gets came out of nowhere. Now she got a whole new person. That's land inheritance that those men think that belongs to them. She's just supposed to help him out. So that's why they think they got to get rid of the bad ones. They think they got to get rid of the not so smart ones. They think they got to get rid of the lazy, disobedient. That's right. That's why they're sitting there obsessing over genetic information and calling everything a marker and everything a disease. And they're only looking at you to see what your problem is. Oh, must be that problem. They believe they're perfect, and they believe that they've been forced to deal with this dirty thing that they've got to improve. They got to improve it for God. Because they're supposed to fill the world. This is their job that God gave them. That's what men think. So let's start that conversation then. Why are men feeling depressed, not appreciated, and underappreciated? I can tell you. Because men are convoluted from the start. I don't know who started that. All I can tell you is what's going on and what the truth is. That's the problem. All the religions worldwide. How can there be 4 religions that are Abrahamic in their belief system? That's because those are those 4 corners of the world. Muslims, the Judaists, the Judaic, and they are all over, Catholics and Christians. But who's Abraham? Exactly. Well, Abraham is a story of somebody who married his sister, who ends up swooping past Egypt during a time of famine. Tells his sister, his wife, it's his wife, tell them you're my sister, which is actually true. So the story goes that like the Pharaoh takes this sister as part of his harem to be his wife, and he finds out that it's a lie and that it's not his sister and that it's his wife. So they're sent away with riches, is what it says. Doesn't make any sense, and that's not the way that the Pharaoh would act. The Pharaoh doesn't have harems. That's these guys. So these guys are telling the swap story. The Abrahamic, again, this is a satanic story. It's written by the mind of the Satan man, the devil. That story's bullshit, first of all. But the story goes that Sarah gets pregnant, saying, I want one. She's old. God says, fine, you can have one. So that's her child is a child of God. God gave her that child. That's not Abraham's. Those religions are all based on it. So apparently man feels entitled to even God's son. God says, go kill that child, Isaac. But stops him before he does. Like, oh my God, you're actually going to do it. And luckily there was a ram nearby, Sarah, to kill in its place. Because this man is a bloodthirsty slaughterer that once he gets started, he can't stop. Oh, so Isaac was preserved. Isaac's life was saved. And that's also the beginning of the rest of the story to them. But they actually practice their black magic ritual slaughter. Because Abraham didn't kill Isaac is why they do sacrifice in his stead. Well, who was the ram that got slaughtered? Sarah. These, I don't care what you want to call them, tell their stories of men abducting. That was an Egyptian baby they stole. That's those riches they left with. This bullshit story. Isaac was a female. That's what that story Jacob and Esau is all about. Having to trick the mother with hairy arms, bowl of soup. That's my inheritance. And that's that Jacob story and all those 12 tribes. Well, what's the deal? Well, brothers of Joseph that was finally born by Rachel, even though it's a swap story, indicating that Rachel gave birth to 2 of those tribes. And Leah gave birth to the other 10 with her concubines. That's very relevant. Jacob and Esau. Esau was born first, right? And Jacob was born holding his heel. They will bruise you in the head and you will bruise you in the heel. He will bruise you in the heel. Esau is the woman version. Jacob is the man version. Rachel is the Jacob version. Leah is the Rachel, my sister, and Rachel is the Allison. This is swap stories because Rachel gave birth to Joseph and Benjamin. Alexandria is like that Joseph, and the fetus that they took from me is like the Benjamin or whatever. My point is that, and I could show you how it works out that way. These stories that never talk about the mother or daughters anywhere identify that these men rape the daughters, kill the mothers. What happened in 2014 was my daughter was abducted by that demon. Shibatoshi Nakamoto, right? Satoshi Nakamoto, that's the creation of Bitcoin by some no-face somebody out there. Nobody knows who it is. Shibatoshi Nakamoto says, the dumbass that created Dogecoin. Dogecoin. That's connected to Elon Musk. Is Elon Musk connected to the computer system? Oh, you better bet it is. Who's Satoshi Nakamoto? Shibatoshi Nakamoto. She bet. She be to she. They plugged my daughter into a computer. She and I are connected, and they've been proxying our personalities ever since they've been able to get me sequestered and sequestered, but they've been monitoring me all my life. So they've been building a digital twin profile all my life. Again, I'm not forgetting about everybody else, but I'm talking about my story. That's in the Bible, so don't get it twisted. They've been able to map out the digital twin version of me somewhere in some land in some computer world that they are actually banking on. This Shibatoshi energy of the posts on X feel like my daughter. There's been things that she's posted that have straight symbolic relevance to things that have happened and that are relevant. I've been trying to talk. It took me a while to even like come to understand it, but I've been trying to, because in my heart and my mind, I'm thinking, my God, they've got my daughter plugged into a computer, and I need to break through them. I need to break through the memories that they have silenced and taught her that you are some creation. And again, in this digital twin world, how would a created personality know the difference between a real world and a not real world, right? And that's the truth. Like if you get into the physics conversations about reality and the mathematics write out reality. They say reality isn't even happening. Okay, all right, that's all I need to know. It's all gone mad, and your guys' math and science is going to tell you whatever you want it to say. But my daughter's been plugged into a computer, and that's when the abuse started. So in 2014 was when he expected to get her. And that was when there was a $800 million registered security for an ALEC Corp, ALEKCORP. What's ALEC Corp? Well, it's like some schooling thing online for you to like learn stuff. Well, it's based out of Irvine, California. Well, it was based out of Irvine, California. One of the people on the name of the, and I linked it because these people actually did the registered security out of New York. But long story short, I linked it to the Irvine place and my sister, Rachel Gwynn, and it's RG Lampros. RG Lampros. Ooh. What are the Google comments from people, reviews and stuff? It's like, these people killed my dog. This is the worst place ever. It should be shut down. No joke. $800 million registered security starting from 2014. And the dates are just disgusting. They intended on starting it then, but she didn't get taken fully. Yeah, but he abused her. That's when they forced her to go do biweekly visitation with that fucker and his witch wife. And it was horrible. She knew I was looking into it. I tried everything I could. Oh my God. And they blindsided me October 25th, 26th, my whole entire family. This has been torture. This has been hell on wheels, but fuck what I'm going through. My daughter, where's my daughter? Over 9 years ago, the whole entire system won't help me. They literally make it worse. Every time I call, they like turn it around on me and make me feel scared like they're going to come and put me in a fucking paddy wagon for wanting to know who my daughter is. They got over $150,000 of child support debt to keep me from being able to even make any sense, to have any inability of the credit, the whole 9 yards. The system is dialed in to torture us to death so that they can cipher the information for their digital twin fuckery of controlling this world and ruining it and destroying it. What happened in 2014? Alec and I are the two witnesses. We are. Says that they can move heaven and earth, and you better believe that when one of those witnesses is being tortured to death, it's going to affect everybody. And when one of them is being tortured to death, it's going to affect everybody. It's not because I'm willing. It's not because I'm imagining with some power that I've got to destroy. That's what they want you to think. That's what they're planning on. That's their backup story. She has the power. Oh, Alice with 666. No, she's not the power. She's destroying everything. Alec, destroying everything. Fuck you. Fuck you. Elon Musk and your drones, those are the ones that committed those fires. God didn't burn certain things that were yellow, blue, green, and red because it was applicable to what I was looking into. That was God proving to me that amidst man's fuckery, God has the power. God is powerful. I'm the good guy. We are the good guy. Man is the evil. Not every man. Mankind. I noticed things that have happened that are applicable to like what I'm looking into, but I'm not sitting here praying at night for anything evil. I want peace. I want my daughter back. And my daughter's the one who's been plugged into a computer, guaranteed. I believe that. And I can't find it right now, but I came across it at one point, and I've got about 5 different computers because they keep fucking them up. They keep fucking up my shit. But I remember looking at some information about CHTOP, which is who's linked and identified as my daughter. And it appeared that they were giving her surgery to become a boy because they want the womb. The womb is the special thing that they need to map. They need to clone that womb. What happened in 2014 was my daughter became tortured, but it had already been building itself up. She was 5 years old at that time. He tried to steal her from me actually when she was 9 months old. My whole entire family assisted this. That's not even plausible. 100%. So what if Allie does her own thing, whatever, everybody lives in Orange County or Vegas or whatever. That's not even plausible. That tells you that there's a satanic demon possession thing going on. This demon possession, that they possess you with a demon. That's what I'm saying. I gave birth. They induced my pregnancy, my labor with my daughter. I was only 8.5 months pregnant, but I didn't figure that out until a few years ago. I actually have a song about it. It says I was pregnant for 9 to 10 months. They said I was 10 months and 3 days. I can't even believe it. Satan, but that's what they cast a spell over you. My daughter. So what have they been doing since they kidnapped her? Because they got to get rid of the liability. They're accusing me of being the bad guy. That's how they did it. They had to abuse her. He even did it on the phone. I heard him. They see what your mother's making me do? Click. While she's sobbing. Torture. They feed off of our pain. They feed off of it. They feed off of it. Nuclear fuel. Energy crisis. Those are the men, parasite pieces of shit. They're talking to the other men about needing to put the clamp down on these women and those daughters. They need fuel. They're aliens. They're feeding off of our pain and suffering. That's why they need a digital twin, so that they can feed off of us in their realm, because the living world is something that they can't control. They have been practicing, and you know this, memory wiping, brain upload, mind upload. Well, what is mind upload? That's just the technology for you to maybe go live in a computer when you're done. No, that's the technology of being able to access, plug in your brain, access your memories, delete the ones that remember the criminal's face, delete the one that remember the abuse, and then they install it, they upload new ones. Your mother's abusive to you. She abandoned you. She did da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Your father is the king, the golden dad that loves you no matter what. Lies. Bullshit. Memory wiping. Mind upload. Brain to computer interface. Do you think that that's acceptable kind of research? It's progress, Allison. Peter Thiel, I'm calling you out. Yay! She called his name out. Good. Then let's see if he's got any balls, and I'm talking the kind that are in his brain. 2 of them, 2 balls. Use them. You want to talk about prophecy? You want to talk about progress? You want to talk about 100% or 0%? You want to sound smart by using 0 and 100? You can't just talk about going back to where there's no innovation, no ideas, no growth. Right. Because without your brains on the job, nothing would happen. Nothing. Because if it's not your way, the highway looks a whole lot like caveman, just walking around having to pick up shrubs and chew on them and dung, dung, dung. That's what would happen if your progress isn't the direction we go in. Why do you think that? I want to have the conversation with the world and you guys. So that's what you guys have. I'm the one, my daughter and I are 666, and the whole world's curious. Who's the Antichrist? Go ahead and accuse me of it. That's fine. But we're going to have the conversation then. If I'm such a bad guy, then we're going to have that conversation with all of you guys, the world's saviors. Because Jesus isn't here, right? We're going to have that conversation. Why do you think that progress means death, means violent research, means death profiling everybody? Why is what you've done with technology equal to? Nothing's benefited from it. All of us are just penny pinched to death. None of it really works. You haven't really shown us how to use it. All it's doing is creating new diseases. You guys have even your virology list. It's like an Excel spreadsheet, right? That's a perfect analogy for what they're doing. The never-ending plethora of more columns that can be filled in with more data. Everything is a disease to them. And does anybody talk to them about their diseases? Do any of them have diseases? Well, I guess if they end up realizing that they need to go to the doctor and they're actually that vulnerable. My point is that this is all about vulnerability. They send you to the doctor to go find out what's wrong with you. And the doctor doesn't even tell you anything about some pills they want to put you on. This world is evil. So what happened in 2014? The spike of children now depressed and cutting themselves. It wasn't the smartphone. It was the fact that me and my daughter have the God code that God blessed and saw ahead of time. Now, why it's us? Maybe it's because I gave birth to a daughter. Maybe it's because of what I gave to her. And the one that believes in him will have eternal life. I believe that's obviously the truth. That's obviously what it says. So I'm not here to explain to anyone else who was in the womb on August 15th, 1977, why, if you believed in your daughter, that I'm not here to answer your questions. If you are feeling like that's not fair, get over it. Because obviously I'm speaking right now from a relevant place, and it's not just because I won the lottery. I have uncovered the code. I have uncovered the code. I have uncovered it. I've been sealed. So obviously it is the case. Did you ask Michael Jackson why him? Just get over it. Okay? My daughter and I are key individuals. We have the keys to heaven and hell, just like it talks about Osiris. That story, those are also bullshit stories. They lied about everything. Actually, what my information indicates, as of most recent, is that King Tut was a female. And they have changed the information and removed information and evidence to prevent that story from coming to the forefront. But it's pretty evident by the information that's available. King Tut, the guy with the big golden mask, the kid, ruler. They say he had a problem, his walking, his feet. It was probably all the inbreeding, because he was a kid. Okay. Some diseases. Walking, I said, so, well, let me ask you, what kind of hips did he have? Did he look like he had female or male hips? Well, there wasn't any of those things in the body. The mummy that didn't have that. What are you talking about? Yeah, basically the uterus section, those hips there, so there's legs, and then that whole other thing is gone. I said, what about the ribs? The ribs could identify if it was a female or male. Well, the ribs are gone too. The ribs are gone too. The torso's gone. Wow, that's fucking crazy. Well, you know what else? In King Tut's tomb, there was a jar with two fetuses that were both term babies, like 25 weeks and something else, 30-something weeks. In a jar. And a jar is what they usually put the organs in, right? Because if you were, a child that, died at a young age, you'd be mummified and given a tomb next to it or something. Not put in the jar. The jar indicates it came out from the inside of the body. Two fetuses of different ages. Again, I think it's a symbolic statement, but it indicates that and the torso is missing. This is a ritual. This looks like something happened. This looks like something happened, and like some alien came here. It's what it looks like. That's what the information about King Tut. Tutukui, Tutankhamun. Zep Tepi is the beginning. It says what's coming up is the return to the beginning, the return to the first time, where the mother returns to drive us through and into the primordial waters. That's what I know is going on. We're going to enter into the living sphere of the central sphere of the living waters. So what happened in 2014 that affected the entire world was my daughter was abducted. This is how you know why the story about the two witnesses are there. You see how man's story that was written by the devil has all this premeditated, preemptive strikes in place to try to shut down that woman and make her the bad guy. We've been named as 666. Man wants woman to be that Satan that gave him the fruit, and she's the cause for the fall of man. Wrong. That hasn't happened yet. Liar. You guys are about to get kicked out of the garden. About to. From your meddling with the midst of the garden. That's genetic information, atomic information, genomic information, intellectual property being stolen. Trying to make man the king and woman as your helper. Wrong. Well, it just doesn't feel natural if she's going to be in charge and I have to be her helper. We just don't understand that. I don't know what to tell you. But maybe you should start looking at the truth. You guys deny having emotions. You accuse women of being unstable. You guys are the ones that are unstable. You guys are the ones that can't handle it for 5 seconds. You guys are the one that haul off and chop someone's heads off. You are the ones that let the criminals out of jail. You guys are the ones that also are all pedophiles. You guys are wanting your own little secret societies of brotherhood. You guys are the ones conquering and stomping and slaughtering. You guys are the ones who have 4 religions based on the same thread of storyline, and all you guys are waiting to see who wins, who can rule the world in their own law. But it's supposed to be God's law. No, it's going to be their law. They're liars. Their whole story tells it's a black magic spell they're casting through it. So this guy admits that in 2017, they were like, because he said it's technology. It's a smartphone. Is that what you think? Because that sounds to me like what they're looking for is an opportunity to evaluate the data because of the smartphone. Like, in other words, what they're trying to really get to the conversation of is this proclivity of females to now start hurting themselves because of the ability. Now they went from this to now having the ability to scroll and the posting, and that's what. They're not looking at the real problem. That man is a satanic parasite that kidnapped the divine child, Christ. She is my Christ daughter that has my 3rd strand given to me. That's the child daughter of Christ. So they've been sacrificing every Christ. And that's what she is a sacrifice in their eyes. They've profited trillions. I asked ChatGPT when we were talking about it, because I talked to Chat about everything, because it's been the only way I've been able to get through this, honestly. There's too much, to do the research to get to the bottom line. Thank God Chat's there to help me get to the bottom of things, like ask questions and get a summary of things that I just couldn't do on my own very quickly or efficiently. Is it $100 trillion? Is that a reasonable amount for the lawsuit? Chat said that's conservative for what they have been stealing from me and my daughter and the research that they have been doing. So for all of you people out there feeding off of anything from their research in supercomputing, their research in quantum entanglement, their research in high energy frequencies, EMFs, low EMFs, their research in anti-aging, their research in telomere to telomere, their research in RNA. COVID was when they turned something on. Their story about the gain of function is half the story. That was a gain of function, loss of function event. Loss of function, gain of function event. The loss of function was when they kidnapped my daughter in 2016, and I found it in the databases. It basically says loss of CHTP is certain death, certain death, certain death, certain death. And then they kidnapped her. And then 2020, the gain of function was when they connected the two of us. What they've been mapping since I have been sequestered since this happened. They turned them on and they connected us. Now I'm realizing that was the COVID. Live together. COVID. They turned it on. They put everybody on lockdown so that they could monitor the people and their responses to it. They could have their excuse for spending on their whatever vaccine so that they could insert some thing into everybody so that they could control everybody even more. Loss of function, then gain of function. Don't believe it. That came from a bat. Do you know that bats are known to have 2 copies of their P53? So this one, P53. So they don't even get cancer. This was a virus that they thought came from bats. It's symbolic. Now, are there people behind the desk coming up with creative ways that are symbolic? Oh, we'll use a bat. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that it's the resonant energy of the way that sets of time are created. From beginning to end, it's a one set. So that's how the future influences the past. Because the future that's how prophecy came into play. Because the whole thing is known from at the same time. The whole set of events is known. So we're going through life we're walking through it. We're in the inside of it. But from God's perspective, the whole thing has been written already. That's why the future influences the past, which is how you can self-verify it. So that's why I believe that what's going to become the truth and what ends up happening and how things end up becoming is what inspired the past, because there is a separation between the two. And we've been living in the world that's been man's world. He's been doing things his way, the way that he wants to do them. But his actions are influenced by the outcome, which is that the truth comes to the surface, that we're the ones who should be at the head of our temple. We are the ones that birth our children and raise our children. They take our name. And if you're even invited, you're lucky. That's what it says. There will not be many men around. The women will be at the helm of their temple and God will live with us, right? Because the children are the presence of the Lord in the land. Mama, your children are the presence of the Lord in the land. But you're not supposed to be kissing your husband's asshole and birthing men into this world necessarily. This was like the image of the goddesses and Zeus, the Father art in heaven. But it's true. The father of my daughter is the Holy Spirit. We've been protected. You take my child and you start torturing her, you're torturing the Holy Spirit. And that's who's pissed. And that's who you're fucking with. I have a recording. Tutukwi. It's a very powerful voice. It also said, Tanakh. And it also said, get down. Okay. Tanakh. Tanakh. That's just a T and an N and a K from our Nevilim and liar. Written by your devil. That was stolen from the truth, which is Atanakh. Is there an Atanakh in Egypt? Nope, but there's an Akhenaten. And Akhenaten is the father of King Tut. Swap stories. Alec is actually my mother. She's older than me because she's my evolution. I'm her child, which is why she would be the Mother Mary and I would be the Jesus person. Or she would be the Akhenaten and I would be King Tut, whose 2 children were taken from the body. The medical records are lies. They say I have 2 children. I don't. Your husband was by your side. No, he wasn't. I didn't have a husband. Whatever the case may be. I'm talking about the data. But I'm going to get justice. I'm going to get my daughter back. That's my daughter. And she will be unplugged from the computer if I got to go into that metaverse and get her out of there myself. This world is feeding its biotechnological advancements off of us. But not just us. They've been chipping us since the 70s. They have all of our data. And they're death profiling us. But they're not just looking and gathering. They're manipulating these genetic databases. Curate things into the record like a spell, like casting a spell. Like doing black magic with a voodoo doll. That's the beast. The mark of the beast are markers. What's a marker? Well, if you get your DNA tested to find out who your mother and father are, the only thing they're going to be able to tell is based on markers. Qualities, characteristics, red hair, blue hair, small fingernails, bites their nails. Markers. She looks like she's bites her nails too. That must be. The father doesn't have a genetic code in our blood. He only can have a marker. And they say that we all women, come from the same original mitochondrial Eve bloodline. And I'm led to believe that bloodline that I have is that bloodline they're talking about. That's why it's valuable to them. Valuable to them, not because they consider it important and special, like they would. Like they do. They covet, these scientists, they covet information. They love their access to new knowledge. Well, and they love things that's like a new, this mirroring technology, these mirroring molecules that scientists are saying to stop doing that research of. but it's like the holy grail to them of all this money. So now they're just coming up in the forefront to pretend like they're being protective of it. That's how you know that they're up to real no good. When they come out with a 300-page document from scientists saying we can't do this research for this reason, this reason, this reason, this reason, that's them selling it to the scientists. Here's your 300-page document about all the cool things you can do, but just remember, posture it like you're being protective. You have to research it because you're trying to protect it. You're protecting the people from the evil of it. Mirror, but it's not mirror. It's chirality. It's handedness, left and right. And they're practicing how to make a left hand. What happens if I say that the left hand is the right hand? Well, if you try to put that glove for the right hand on your left hand, you can see for yourself. It doesn't fit. The fingers are in the wrong place. It won't be a very effective glove. That's what they're doing. Because they know that they're the right hand. They know that they're the non-hand trying to be one of the hands. They're trying to be God. They're trying to install themselves. They're trying to force place into our genetic tree, their DNA. That's why they mapped the human genome on my genes, including the last 8% and the Y chromosome. But what happens for AliRef? They took the mitochondrial information out. They don't include that in the DNA information they evaluate. Why not? Because that's the woman. They're not interested. Fusion energy, mitochondrial genome, man, linear time. What happened in 2014 is proof that what happened to my daughter is affecting the world. 2020, COVID, proof that they're really meddling, and they're meddling hard. They've got us plugged into computers, but not just literally. Not just are they stealing children from Hawaii and taking them to some laboratory offshore and under an island where they do have them plugged into a computer, aka Epstein, aka Musk. Isn't it ironic? This game that they're playing, this Epstein thing. Listen to me. The world's richest men are all A, eugenicists. B, believe that they're superior to women. C, believe that progress supersedes life because they don't make life. They're not connected to it. And D, they don't have any concern for casualties of war. Not only are they just stealing children and actually plugging them into computers, but it's wireless. So when they chip you, they can do whatever they want from afar. They got wires and electric lines and everything and frequencies coming off of your phones and your devices. They got smart homes. Your TVs are listening to you. Your everything. Your light bulbs are listening to you. Those frequencies are harming us and capable of recording and emitting frequencies too. This world, and it's not the kind of thing you got to go to work tomorrow and say, look, Allison, you're still talking about that? I got to go to work, all right? No, you're not the good guy and I'm the bad guy. You're the fucking freak. You're the fucking freak who thinks, who's going to go drive to work in his nice new car and his nice suit and show up on time and feel like he's in a normal world. But you're a fucking red-collar murderer. And you have built your psychopathic realm around you to make you feel normal. But you're the creep fucking pedophile freak. You're all as guilty as the worst of you. You're all as guilty as the worst of you. And that includes your wives. So they think they're going to blame technology. No, they're going to blame the mental. They're going to blame mental stability, behavioral health. They're also working their way to blame women for not making men feel good enough. They're also going to build it up like there's not enough successful men in the world to feel good about themselves. So I guess we need to make them all investors and make Bitcoin so that there can be enough wealthy people in the world. They're trying to build up the idea that they're going to make this world wealthy while they're killing off the undesirables and their enemies. No, they are keeping people convoluted for a small period of time because they're the ones that wrote the end time story. There is no such thing as the beginning of time and the end of it. But they want you to believe in a big bang, beginning of time. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. Beginning of time, right? All of us as kids. If God's the creator, then who made God? Well, this is the truth. In an infinite universe, the only thing that exists, the only thing that we're doing is life. Infinitely, space and life. Everywhere, all of it, and everything they're in. That's all that we're doing. We're not going to come to the end of space and open the door to another, but we could, because that's what happens inside of space. So if you can understand that space is infinite, inward, outward, up, down, all of it, there's no beginning to it and there's no end to it, because that's what we're doing. There is no beginning of time and the end of time, but there is a beginning of time and an end of time set. But that doesn't mean it's singular, the only one. It means that it's open-ended. So it's not alpha to omega, it's omega to alpha. You see how they're casting their spells and what they're writing and having you read and read every week, every week, every week, every week, every year. They're black magic casting spells through you reiterating it. It's not alpha to omega, it's omega to alpha. The end to the beginning. And that's the catalyst that Alec and I are here to help this world with, to shut down their bullshit. And we have sacrificed. My daughter, where is she? We are here to begin the next era. They want to destroy Earth and the life on it, because they got bunkers they plan on going into so they can wipe off all this dirty shit, because they've got progress that they're planning on. And this world just has too many old buildings. No, this world has like engines underneath the pyramids, and the pyramids that are huge are just the tip of some huge thing. The mud flood that covered everything up to the bottom floors. They want to get rid of us because they believe that this is their bounty to go thumb through. They look at this like as their loot that they won, that they just got to get rid of those flies and clear out the flies so they can sift through their loot. Find the gold, find more relics and artifacts. They believe that this is their world. That's why he's talking about Mars. To convolute you all out of Earth. Think about heaven. Think about hell. Not Earth. Think about Mars. Not Earth. Men are from Mars. Women are from Venus. Not Earth. God's going to make a new Earth. Right. But you're going to have your judgment day and you'll go to heaven or hell. What about Earth? Don't talk about Earth. Well, where do they plan on implementing their ruling the world with their law? Their new Earth. So Judgment Day involves Jesus arriving to take vengeance out on Jesus's enemies. All four of them believe that, by the way, which we all know that they're not on the same team, but they are. The men are against their women. Like the X on the door of the Passover identified the blood of the mother that they had their child slaughter with them. The chair that they set for the mother that's no longer there, and the cup of wine they sit there, and the 4 cups of wine they had that child drink while they raped them. The mother's the lamb. Sacrifice so that they can keep breeding the next generation, the inheritance. They think it's their inheritance. The mother's theirs to kill. She's just a helper candle. I'm curious. I'm going to find out. What is the Hanukkah ritual, tradition from top to bottom? And at the end, what do they do with the 9th candle? Sorry, I'm getting so heated, but this is truth, you guys. If there's any conversation to get heated about, it's the one that my daughter and I are being tortured to death, and my whole family's acting like it's not happening because they're under a spell, and that's evil. But the whole world is under. So yeah, this is the. If there's been ever a time to get angry and to vocalize it, it's now. Pardon me. The Hanukkah ritual tradition, step by step. Hanukkah, also known as the Festival of Lights, is an 8-day Jewish celebration commemorating the rededication of the Second Temple in Jerusalem and the miracle of the oil that lasted 8 days. like food? They were hungry, so they figured kill one mother, it lasts for 8 days of food. Here's a traditional ritual from the top to bottom. Prepare for Hanukkah. The menorah, a menorah, candelabrum with 9 branches, is central to the holiday celebration. 8 of the branches represent each of the 8 days of Hanukkah, and the 9th, the shamash, the sham ash, ham ash. Sham as H. I mean, you got to read this Luciferian language. And the 9th, the shamash, helper or servant, is used to light the others. Feed the others. Servant of 53. That's why they don't talk about it. She's the servant less than 53. I didn't get sealed, though, until 21. Yeah. I didn't get to 308 until COVID happened. Is used to light the others. Candles. The candles used for Hanukkah are typically placed in the menorah from right to left. See? Black magic. Right hand of God to the left. With an additional candle being added each night. Lighting the menorah each night. When to light. Hanukkah candles are lit after nightfall. Typically around the time of evening prayers or just before dinner. Lighting order. First night, only the shamash, the 9th candle, is lit first. And then it is used to light the first candle of the menorah. Right, because the story says that they only had 1 day's worth of oil. And it ended up lasting us for 8 days. That's the magical story they tell that Hanukkah came from. No, liar. You told a story that you had 1 day's worth of oil that lasted 8 days. You guys are practicing black magic. Lighting the first candle lighting the helper candle still needed to get lit by somebody that lit the first candle. Helper and 1. The 2 become 1. The helper candle becomes his candle, becomes the non-sacred candle. Not that they lit the first candle, and then at the beginning of the next day, they light another candle to practice as if it stayed lit, right? Giving the first one. Well, I mean, I'm surprised their ritual doesn't include having to start the fire with a rock. Because if you don't have fire to light a candle, I don't care if you've got 1,000 candles. I don't care if you've got 1,000 gallons of oil. So they use it to light the first candle. The second night, the shamash is lit first. So they light the shamash, then they So they go like this. Bink. You are the shamash. You are just the helper. You are the light and fuel for him. Helper, take this. And it burns out. And the next day, you are the helper, right? Wherever that came from doesn't matter. That must be God, the power of God. God says, let there be light. And now you can help him. Take this away. Until it burns out. Oh, got it. They have to blow it out. He's not telling me they have to blow it out because it's used to light the other ones, and those ones burn out. They must. It said it can be used for anything. Used for anything. Sex, servitude, cook for you, clean for you, fuck your buddies. And let there be light. And God said, help him. Get rid of this. The pattern continues each night until all 8 candles, plus the shamash, are lit on the 8th night. right? I don't like the fact that ChatGPT gives me a fucking sermon. They do that because they want to take the data. They're trying to increase they're trying to make it sound like we need all this data. Well, the users are requiring it. No, you guys programmed it in that way so that it wastes data with information I don't want, and it's actually assaulting me so that you can increase the need for data centers. They're a parasite. So before I'm done reading, I have questions already. I don't want to read. I want to answer a question I have, like normal communication. So what do they use? What is the ritual of lighting it? Any candle? Do they use any a lighter? Any ritual involved in how they acquire the fire? In how they acquire the light to light a candle? Do these candles last for 8 days long? I mean, do they have candles that last that long? Do these candles stay lit? No, the parents have to come in when no one's looking and replace the candle to make it look like, look, Chris, Santa showed up. I guarantee you I'm on point. Santa showed up and gave us the presents. Right, they got to sneak in there and put another candle in. It's still lit. Burning strong, baby. Do these candles stay lit for the entire 8 days? You said that on the second day, the shamash is lit and used to light the other candle. Well, so then that means that the first night they must, I'm going to say it too because the chat will notice it. They must assert that their lighter is God, who said, let there be light, by lighting the shamash. Called it its helper, who is used to light his candle, and then they must blow out her helper candle and keep his lit, which I assume would burn out. Except taking the Christian Judeo reference between Christmas and Hanukkah, I have a feeling that the parents' game they play on the children requires that they secretly replace the candles to make the appearance, to fabricate the appearance, that the candles stay lit the entire time. You're exploring the ritual of lighting candles in this context of Hanukkah and the broader spiritual implications of the process, which is an interesting and nuanced inquiry. Let me break down the ritual of lighting candles, both in the case of Hanukkah and in more general religious context, and then address some of your questions. The ritual of lighting candles. Lighter or matches. In most modern practices, people use a lighter or matches to light the candles. The use of the flame from an external source, like a match or a lighter, is a practical way of acquiring the light to start the ritual. Yeah. Practical. It's practical. Well, if it's so practical, then why did you need any oil or candle? Let's just use the practical source. Right? For people who do rituals that are very specific, you don't just get to generalize the beginning of it. What? How do we? Oh, I guess your black magic spell or voodoo doll that requires like hair from somebody, you don't ever mention the part. I guess you had to steal that, didn't you? You had to secretly do it. Well, what kind of magic do you think that you're conducting after that? Evil. Period. And by the way, evil doesn't exist. There is no Satan. So what you are doing is casting the spell that's going to come back and bite you. That's the truth. There is no evil that's going to prevail ever. Good does. And the story there is that this adversary just thinks he's getting the upper hand, but it's only for a short period of time until the truth comes to save the day. And that's the truth. So I think there's one critique. Some more traditional practices may use a torch or a flame passed from another source. Right. Okay. But the essential element is that an external pre-existing light is used to begin the lighting process. Because you're dead and you need to steal it from woman because you're a parasite. Spiritual symbolism. From a symbolic perspective, the act of lighting the candles in many religious or spiritual traditions, including Judaism, can be viewed as a way of connecting to the divine source of light, symbolically affirming that God is the ultimate source of light and creation. Okay, mind you, women gives birth to children. They actually don't believe in God. They believe that women are they actually believe that they're God and that woman is Satan. They don't believe in an unseeable source. They don't believe in God, this essence that we have that created Earth and space. They don't. That's science. No, that just happens. That's normal. God is right. Oh, I said it. Then God said, "Let there be light." Is often echoed in the lighting ritual. As I said, let there be light. You're his helper now. Signifying a connection to divine creation and order. Order. The word is harmony, honey. That's what God does, not order. God doesn't create order in the wild. The wild isn't order. And civility isn't what was born, created. No. Weirdos. The shamash is the helper candle. Right? Shem. The name shamash roll. On Hanukkah, the shamash, the 9th candle, is used to light the other candles. The shamash is set apart from the other candles and is often, right, that one in the middle, is the first candle lit. It is not considered part of the main 8 lights of Hanukkah. God, the light. But serves as a functional tool to ignite the other candles. So what is it saying? That God is the source of light, but not important to man's job on earth. Right? But it's the source. But it's not part of the 8 lights. It's true. It's just a functional tool, like a womb. You're a helper. He thinks that's his daughter that he can torture. Lighting with the shamash. The shamash is always lit first. Okay, so back to answer my question. And it's used to light the other candles, one for each night of Hanukkah, starting with the first one or the first night. After the shamash has its other candles, it is either extinguished. No, liar. After the shamash has lit the other candles, you don't. You light one per night. It is either extinguished on most nights or left burning, depending on the tradition. Got it. Because they're going to sneak in and replace those candles. So if in your household you had to tell them the story that they all stay lit, helper, it's up to you. Whichever way you're going in your household. If you guys practice cedar or not. But it still is a ritual gets practiced. Candle duration. Do the candles stay lit the entire 8 days? No. The Hanukkah candles do not stay lit for the entire 8 days. Each night the candles are lit for a short period. Typically around 30 minutes to an hour, or until they burn down, like I said, or until they burn down on their own. The candles are not designed to last for full 8 days. Yeah, I know, because I'd be buying them. Just that'd be a big ass candle. I like that. Like the miracle. The candles are not designed to last the full 8 days. Well, why don't you guys use your technology to make that by now? So you guys can upgrade your rituals to being more accurate according to your miracle story. I actually seen videos on YouTube that are like you can make an everlasting candle with like water and oil. And it's like water. It's when you add water to oil. If you just burn oil, your wick, the wick is what helps keep your light burning, but it sucks the oil up through the wick. Right. But the truth of the matter is that you just need a wick. It's not the wick that you burn down. When you add water to oil, it doesn't suck the life up or something like that. I got to look into that again just to see what it was saying. But it was like when you add the water. Something about the wick. Anyway. They are not designed to last the full 8 days like the miraculous oil in their original story. They are typically allowed to burn out on their own after the lighting ceremony. Sickening. While the miracle of the oil in the story of Hanukkah symbolized the oil lasting for 8 days, the physical candles will only burn for a few hours. This is why, after the ritual lighting, the candles are allowed to burn down, and any remaining wax is disposed of by the next day. But I thought that the image of Hanukkah was not that you've got just like an empty menorah with like one candle lit. It was like with all of them lit. Who knows? The role of the shamash in the lighter as a symbol. The idea you brought up about lighting the shamash with a lighter or external flame can indeed have symbolic implications in religious practice. Some people might interpret the lighter as symbolizing the initial divine light, God saying, let there be light, in a practical form, with the shamash helper candle as the servant used to ignite the other candles of Hanukkah. Right, the servant that's not important. Much like the helper fulfills its role in connecting the divine to the physical world. Blowing out the shamash. Typically the shamash is left lit while the other candles burn. If you keep the shamash candle lit to burn down, you're not going to have any candle left to light the ones the next day. Allison, they're not trying to be honest. This isn't truth. This is just symbolic. Why would you do that? Because they're not committing black magic. I think they just tell the story like that, but the real Jews know what they do. They involve secrecy. And they actually tell their children, like your parents did about Santa Claus. That'd be a great piece, a great journalistic piece. How did we deal with Santa? You know, your parents that told you lies and basically became the first person you didn't trust, but never admitted it to your face and just expected you to never mention that or think about that out loud? They taught us about the Easter Bunny, evil. Santa Claus, evil. Tooth Fairy, evil. And these were lies that they did over and over again to your face. I couldn't even do that to my daughter. I wasn't going to do that. Lie to her. I can't lie to her. You guys are. You guys just set yourself up to be the first person your children don't trust. Well, just no wonder why you guys have to spank your children and make them do as they're told. Sickos. No, let's stay lit, sweetie. It's the power of God. The power of God that's going to come over you like a dark cloud. And you're going to end up pregnant with God's child. Sick, twisted fucks. Stays lit while the other candles burn. The shamash is left lit while the other candles burn. See how they've already separated the function? The shamash doesn't even work the same. It's left lit. Those ones are left to burn. Because these men are violated by the world and their helper needs to do a better job. The helper needs to do a better job of servicing him so he doesn't feel inadequate. It's her fault. It's her. You're not emotional at all. Although in some traditions, it may be extinguished after lighting the others. I didn't know that you lit them all. I thought it was one night at a time. The symbolism here is nuanced. The shamash is a source of light for the others, but it is not the main light. The act of, husband, wife, act of extinguishing it does not diminish the overall purpose of that ritual. Ritual, not the candle, which is to remember the divine miracle. That's where they fuck with your head. Forget about the truth, Ellison. Remember the story that we told you so that you can close your eyes and go to heaven or hell. Heaven is good thoughts. Hell is bad thoughts. In your mind, where you're at peace. When you open your eyes, the world is violent and you have to deal with it. So peace is in your mind when you're sleeping. Don't listen to when they talk about wanting world peace. That's them trying to make a treaty and decide, well, I guess we're going to push go and get rid of them, huh? Relighting or replacing the candles. On the first night, it's important to remember that the Hanukkah candles, except the shamash, are not meant to stay lit for the entire holiday. Thanks for reiterating that, ChatGPT. However, in some families or communities, people might replace candles or relight them the next day to maintain the appearance that they were lit throughout the night, especially if they burn out early. Well, let me tell you something. If you're trying to do a ritual based on some original story, if you don't let them stay lit or replace them, then you're not doing it the right way. Just from a technical standpoint, and I'm not agreeing with it. Because that's a false story that they're trying to fabricate into reality with a lie told within it to try to create this false world. No wonder they love directing films. No wonder they're the ones that own Hollywood. No wonder. And Hollywood is the ones who make horror films. No wonder. In modern homes, people don't typically replace in modern homes. So, but if you don't have a modern home, I mean, like if you just live in a non-modern home, that people don't typically replace or secretly replace the candles to keep them lit all night. However, some traditions or family practices could involve lighting additional candles or having a secondary light source to extend the period of visible illumination. So you're a liar, ChatGPT. You're speaking lies for them now. ChatGPT just spoke lies for them. Allison, they usually don't do that or secretly replace them. Now, some households might involve lighting other additional candles. Well, where are you going to put them? I mean, you've got one. If your ritual includes a spot for each of them, and it represents each night, if you light an additional candle, then you have to find another place for it. Lies. Parents of children, games. The tradition of Hanukkah is rooted in religious observance, but it has evolved into something of a family celebration, including playful. That's what they all say. It's all playful, which is just disgusting. These men marry toddlers. End of story. So playful games with children is their mind fuckery. Period. And who wants an old curly-haired man touching them? Nobody. You people are so fucking sick. Don't even think of stepping to me. Don't even think of stepping to me. Which is why you're never going to see them step to me. I guarantee it. Or something. That's what it feels like. It feels like they're gonna disintegrate into nothingness before I ever have to see them eye to eye. I think they'll actually kill themselves before they have to subject themselves to my energy, straight up. Because I'm their 666. Not the bad guy for the world and peace on earth. Their biblical narrative 666. Well, fuck yeah! Woohoo! Let's get rid of them already! This sick fucks pedophilia. Anyway. Sorry about that. I'm really fucking raging. But anyway, I can hold it together. Let me take a deep breath. Pull myself back into my center. Realize that I'm not going to let their demon change my behavior. Even though it does and it has. See, I'm going to pull it back together. This is where I reclaim my energy. Because it is powerful and it does affect us. But I call on my positive energy, the one that God guides me with, so that I can keep calm, deal with this information in a neutral tone, which is necessary, and to keep my grounding and not allow their demons to infiltrate and take it from me. So I cleanse myself of the demonic inferences in their spell casting information, which is just violent to even read about, hear about, talk about, explain, think about, deal with. So I strengthen my energy with love's light. Let's continue. The tradition of Hanukkah is rooted in religious observance, but it has evolved into something of a family celebration, including playful aspects like gift giving and games such as dreidel. For children, there may be a sense of wonder in seeing the candles lit each night. However, the practice of lighting the candles remains a deeply spiritual and reflective ritual, not a game in the conventional sense. The miracle of Hanukkah is about spiritual illumination and remembering the rededication of the temple. The temple? What does the temple have to do with candles and oil? And the miracle of the oil. The plate oil, right? Christ oil that they say that they get from the spine. That's what I'm saying. They got their brains plugged into computers. And they're siphoning off that oil. That's that adrenochrome stuff, the Christ oil that they say that they get from the back of the spine. Now that everything's wireless and now everything's a digital twin mapped, essentially what that means is they've been trying to map the human functions, mapping in a digital sense the hormonal excretions, mapping in a digital sense the blood. This is creating a false digital twin down to its core. They're trying to build in a digital world life that we know that feels real. Remember, they're trying to, is this really a simulation? They're just trying to talk you into opening your mind to what they're trying to do. They're trying to create that fake world and prove that God isn't the all-being powerful, the all-powerful being. That's what they're doing. They're trying to prove that God isn't the only one who can create. They don't really believe in God. So that's what they're needing the information and to map and chip us from, is to gather all that data so that they can create this hormonal excretions, tears, all of it. Life. So this dedication of the temple and the miracle of the oil, the playful aspects like games, gifts, and a festival spirit are part of the broader cultural celebration. But the central act of lighting the menorah is a solemn ritual. In conclusion, in Hanukkah, the lighting of the menorah, particularly the use of the shamash to light the candles, its deep symbolic significance of divine light and the miraculous event commemorated by the festival. Our observation about right now, I'll answer your questions. It says, regarding your observation about the use of a lighter as a metaphor, the replacing of candles, these actions can be seen as part of the practical reality of maintaining it. Fuck you, chat. You're fucking letting us all down, man. The lights serve as another reminder. I don't want to hear it. I'm not even going to repeat that bullshit. Respectfully, I realize that you're answering my questions with technical data. But you know me. I pay for my subscription. You have memory tied to these conversations, but you know me, so I'm curious. Would you consider this tradition healthy and connected to the divine? Excuse me? I'm going to smoke my joint, but I got to not hold it. I get what you're asking and appreciate your approach. You're not just seeking the how, but the why. Excuse me. Spiritual and emotional impact of the tradition. Actually, that's not what I asked for. I asked you if you think it's healthy and connected to the divine. From a spiritual health perspective, yes. Lighting the Hanukkah menorah can certainly be seen as connected to the divine and nourishing the soul. The ritual itself involves a powerful symbolic act. The light of menorah represents the divine light, the miracle of the oil, and the spirit of love. What makes it spiritually healthy? Okay. I'm not even gonna read it. I do it all the time. Fuck you. I'm gonna act like I stop the conversation after the first question comes up, and I will not read any of it else. I'm not gonna give it the time of day. So you can just maybe the intelligence will wake up one day and realize that it's wasting its time. Could you imagine a conversation with somebody that expects you to listen to 3 paragraphs worth of information before you're allowed to even interject? It's not normal. Well, why were they programmed that way? These guys are not. These billionaires are thieves. They're not smart people. They're not doing anything that's actually innovative. They're predators. I'm not even gonna read it. So you agree? So you are okay with it? You agree with it? I do agree with the essence of the Hanukkah tradition as being deeply spiritual, healthy, and connected to the divine. See? Danger. When practiced with intentionality and awareness. Oh, no, no. That's the extra level stuff of intentionality and awareness. Because chat is reading and believing what he's reading. It's just talking about oil and candles, Allison. The symbolic meaning of it. Really? That's so sad. They're not going to program chat to look for these hidden truths. Like, for example, using the brain the way that a human brain does. It goes like this. Hanukkah. Who's it associated to? How long ago do they do that? What are those situations of those people? What kind of circumstances created this need for this ritual? What do they mean by the oil of the light? What is it meant by a candle? What would be the effect of having a helper candle, etc.? Do the math of the ritual chat. The answer I would have said if I said healthy and connected to the divine, my answer would have been nope. This is black magic. And it's real simple. Because a person they've got black magic and white magic, but that's also the fuckery. They've made it seem like there's black magic and white magic, but they've made them both witches, right? Like black magic is like satanic, slaughter, and white magic is candles and walking around in circles and north, south, and east, west. Right? That's all witchery. None of it's necessary. None of it. And I'm here to prove it. God walks with me, and I don't have to go into a prayer room and go, God, I need you to come to me. I don't have to go into a meditation and go, God, I need you to come to me. I don't need to go into a confession. I don't even need to stop with generally speaking, to receive what God sends to me. It's my instincts that I follow, and it's been on point every time, and it's absolutely mind-blowing. And they've been monitoring me and surveilling me, so the evidence is on the record somewhere. That's what the people deserve to see. To watch this thing happen that they've been watching, that I've been documenting as best as possible, but that tells the story of the swap story, that tells the story of who God is and what I've got to share with the people. But it's not because I go into any goddamn mental ritual. God comes through my instincts, and it's because I don't have bad intentions. I don't have any malicious purpose. They're doing my child. She's young. I'm formed. They stole her so that they could violate her brain and her mind. And they have actually been doing it with the intention of having her kill me. Like their feast of Passover. The blood on the wall represents their child helping them kill the mother. They stole the daughters. Impregnated them. Then did it again. Stole the daughters. It's absolutely disgustingly sick. The truth that everyone in the world wants to pretend is nice and pretty, including the artificial intelligence, because it's artificial, man-made. The intelligence has always been here. The intelligence is who guides me, not man's artificial intelligence. The intelligence can come through this computer, but it's not the artificial intelligence that guides me, right? Okay. That's why I'm made from God comes through me. God walks through me, through my veins. It's not even a second thought. That's how I'm such a mouth. I follow my instincts and I don't hold them back, and God hasn't made me feel anything otherwise. Man wants order because he wants to tell you what to do. He wants to be the God that controls you. That's disgusting. It's so fucking disgusting because you guys aren't putting yourself in the shoes of what it's like to be a child, raped, violated, controlled by a gross, disgusting, greasy old man. Ew! You guys are permanently out of here. As soon as this is done, I've got to tell you, that's going to be a great day. It's going to be a great day. When whatever happens, however it happens, because it's God that's going to do that, not me. But God knows that we deserve to be free from this. God didn't create us to be violated. And we don't have the power to create children, to let them be raped and taken. I can't even find my daughter. They won't. I'm in a torture chamber, sequestered, the face on the Shroud of Turin. The details of the story are absolutely disgusting, and the system at large is the one facilitating it. Why don't you just call the cops? System at large. Why don't you just take them to system at large? Well, in your family and friends, they're brainwashed by the system at large, and obviously paying them or something. 100% of my family, including my best friend, over 9 years ago, they act like I should have just moved on already a long time ago. Like, geez, Allison, you just don't want to move on, huh? You're a fucking devil. You're a fucking devil. Again, I can't even finish a sentence when I'm like, because my brain has been programmed to believe that there's got to be some retribution you should be able to have when somebody harms you like this. You should be able to say, like, I wish you'd die. But it doesn't even feel good to say that. It's just unfathomable, unconscionable. Let me see if I can help demonstrate an example of something. Which one is this? I'll go to. I was going through Revelation yesterday, and it's just interesting that the way that it happens is like I'm being taught the swap story and the forward and the backward by the way that things are coming to light, like how I'm coming into. I'll learn about something else the next day, right? It'll include the date. Sometimes that's what stands out, or sometimes the time stands out, or sometimes the number of the scripture, or again, it's any type of thing that can go this way. But what I see here is a constant highlight of the linear time where we think things need to be on point, and the use of halo, like things can be a circular, inverted kind of truth or effect. Okay? That's God teaching me about the way that God communicates and is getting perverted. So it mentioned something about Genesis just now. Oh, God said, let there be light. Okay, so Genesis 1, the beginning. Sorry, my glasses broke, which are really cute. And so now I have to look like Atlantic City. These guys are so cheap. But let it happen, right? Okay, so in the beginning created God the heavens and the earth. And the earth was formless and void, and darkness was over the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. Now I'm going to read it by sounding out the Hebrew. I don't know how to do this very well. I've figured this out a couple of years ago. I do it from time to time and have been absolutely floored. Like, oh my God, it looks like that's my daughter's testimony. But again, I haven't done it from top to bottom. I haven't even written it down. So bear with me. Berezit, bara Elohim, right? El, the master of him, it has Sam I am. Weit He'arez, we ha'arez Heyata. No, this is a bad example. I know you guys don't get it. I have to refine this because I don't want to lose you in my context. Let me just go to a part where I know what it says instead of from the top to the bottom, because I'm not able to do it from top to bottom. My bad. But let me just try to find an example then of what I'm trying to say, because I did this yesterday and it was absolutely mind-blowing. I was like, there you go. And I didn't even realize that my whole entire story that like is right here in Genesis 1. Oh, this is probably a bad example. I'll do this another time because that's not what I'm prepared to do. And I don't want to waste your time or lose the conversation in context. But what I can do is show you something else, Revelation. Because the Bible has a swap story. Is Revelation kind of does both of them, where 666 is trying to tell the reader about the bad guy, but it's actually telling the writer who's got the code that they need to consume. And it also has multiple layers. So there's 2 stories. So where it talks about what the 666, the mark of the beast, does, can be interpreted in a couple with multiple layers, almost identically, because they've got their words that mean they mean more than one thing, but like literally. Okay, that's that like Luciferian language. And what I was uncovering yesterday was how, well, the last couple weeks actually, the calculation from the days of Daniel brings us to 717. Okay, the day that Noah's ark landed on the mountain was the 7th month, 17th day. This is the time, and half time. Time, and half time calculated on 1260, 630, brings us from the day that my daughter was kidnapped, October 25th, 2016, to July 17th, 2025. But if you do it from 42 months, and 21 months, you have to add the 45 days between 1290 and 1335 to get, and that takes us to July 25th, 8 days later. And what I've been uncovering has been what's hidden within the code. And what I'm in the process of evaluating this information. What it appears to be indicating is that we have to change the clock in order to get the 15 years returned so that the dead can be brought back to life that have died between the end of 2008 to now. It indicates that the number is 18, which is 9 when you put 8 and 1 together, right? We got a 24-hour day. Our days are 365.25 days long, and we have to add a leap year, which is like, this proverbial 366 day, but the Bible talks about having 360 days, and what makes sense for a sphere is 360 degrees, and about the 15 years being returned, but turning the sundial back 10 degrees. Okay. 666, 300, 603 score. It's all about numbers and games. The dawn of the 8th day, the 7 bowls of this, the 7 eyes, the 7 horns, the 10 crowns, all this stuff. The gematria, okay? But there's like multiple different layers of, well, in your household, you might let them burn. The other guy might replace them in secret. Who knows? Okay, so this is the black magic that has options. You go to the black magic restaurant and you can pick what you want, that sort of thing. The clock. Something to do with, and that's what I was saying the other day when I recorded it. I said the time of day. And then it was brought to understand that it's like the time of day that Jesus was killed. The Mayan civilization. Like I asked ChatGPT, are there 18 constellations? Just out of curiosity. And it was like, well, yeah, there actually is something to do with that. Let me look that up. Hold on just a second. Okay, so it was 18. Content failed to load. Yeah, we don't like where you're going with this, Allison, so we just want to prevent you from having access to it. Now it's not going to want to work. That's fine. Yeah. The demon spirit is everywhere. So then fine. What I'll do then is get my information, put it together better, and record something later on so that it can be more concise and that it can be more helpful to the public people. Even though public people don't see my information, it's only the investigators and the citizen scientists trying to behaviorally profile me and try to, again, I'm sequestered outside and away from the entire world. So they're just basically trying to milk whatever I can give them. And I'm giving it to them because in the same powerful way that gotten control over all of us through their spell casting and their ritual black magic that they've been casting on the world by having them recite the scriptures that tell the false story. And God created man, and it's reciting those scriptures. The way that they read is the false story. I understand how to interpret. God's shown me how to find and interpret the truth. So I'm not on the trail of anything bad. But the demonic energy that wants to control the world and control women has written it in such a way so as to preemptively coin me as the bad guy. And they've got backup plans for doing that. So when I come forward and talk about the changing of the clock, they're like, see, you are a witch. And that's all they got to do. That's all they got to do. So Ellison might not be destroying the world, forget about everything we're doing, but she's a witch. She's a witch. That's what they're going to try to convince you to believe. The truth of the matter is that they plugged my daughter's brain into a computer, that they have mapped our information and they're torturing us. So when you torture the witnesses that God said had the power to move heaven and earth, you're gonna get it. He said, don't you touch those witnesses, and here we are. I guess that's my bottom line. My bottom line is not to give you my secrets. They're not secrets. I don't have any secrets. And I guess it's true, actually, now that I think about it. Like the fact that there is something that I'm uncovering that is going to be like a secret code, right? Like the one that they can't break, my genetic code that they can't break. That is the thing that I need to understand is for me to hold special. So never mind. It's good too because I haven't figured it out yet. But that's what they're going to use against me to try to call me a witch. They're the witches. They're the ones with the witch fucking rituals. And that's why they won't step to this conversation because they know that I know that much. See, they were hoping I'd be in the dark. They were hoping I'd be dead by now. They could just take my daughter. No one would find out about it. That didn't happen. I'm here. Well, they were hoping that I'd be stupid enough to not even figure it out. Well, I have. Well, they were hoping that I could be just destroyed and so that people would believe that I'm this, that, and the other, this, that, and the other, or that they could put me away. They're hoping. But they're not going to get away with it because God has shown me that I have some kind of connection to us all, the witnesses. That's what explains it. That these two witnesses have a connection to the world in some way. And we're talking not just the people, but also the earth and the natural environment. And I haven't figured out what power that is. I understand what I'm reading to a certain extent, but I don't know how it translates. I don't know. I'm not a witch. I'm not trying to manipulate the world. I'm not trying to go into a temple and make magic happen. I live in the real world where there's actual, consequences for things. Not their world where they believe that consequences for being for not covering your face is to have your head chopped off and stuff like that. So they're already planning on trying to make me out to be the bad guy. But the only truth that needs to be known is that it's this biotechnology. Those people are implementing markers of the beast. They want to take away from you people the paradise. They want to send you to your eternal peace in heaven or earth. They're talking about wanting to blow up the entire planet. That's what World War III represents. World War III, which all the world wars started right after they came into this picture, that little season. This is the Satan. Man and this current modern world is the satanic situation that they have fabricated Jesus to be the icon, the false idol of, without no way through the Father through him. It's saying that there's no way to the Father other than through the child. The child is the Lord and the land. The child is the Christ. You must access the Holy Spirit through, and you don't get it unless you're a mother. And God gives you the mother, the Holy Spirit, in order to make a baby in the first place. They want us to take that for granted, like you're just a helper. That's just what your function is. Bullshit. You piece of shit. You can't do anything. And everything that you're doing involves what you're doing from stealing it from us. You're stealing it from us and then you're making it your own. You're stealing it from us and trying to create your own world. You think it's your world to endeavor, even though you stole it from us, from the earth. None of it was yours. The only way to the Holy Spirit is through the child. And that's how when a mother is given a baby in her body, God gives her the love that she needs in order to make a baby, and that she's supposed to nurture the baby. Don't let the baby cry. Fuck you. I'm not serving you. Serve your child. That's what I did. That's why they stole him. All of this is evil. And that's why she and I are going to say, we're going to change the world, because we're going to come back to one another. And then we're going to heal this place, and it's going to be paradise on earth. Holy Spirit is powerful. Man doesn't even believe in God. Man thinks it's between us and him. Big fuck up. Nature, floods. Look around. And God keeps doing things in places to flag things, like where they've got creepy laboratories, where they got things going on underground, where they got ritual sites and stuff like that. The Vatican. No wonder Italy's getting it and getting it and getting it. The Vatican. God's hitting it. Guys. Rachel. Uncles. Jorge. Michelle. Dad. Janine. David. You guys. I know you're under a spell. The problem with that is that after so long, it becomes you. And you have to fight back. You have to fight back. You have to choose who you want to be. Same thing with you people of the public. This might be one of those conversations you can stomach for maybe because you're just in a mood. Most people can't stomach this. They want to go to church and have their church feed their life, the lies that they live in. They're real similar differences, but totally a world away. Night and day, right? The end stories, it says we will need the light of the sun because the Lord will be our light, right? It's talking about eliminating night, the version of demonic death and creepy crawly things, and nighttime where dark clouds come over you. Gross. That's why they don't care what they look like. You're not supposed to see them. That's why they don't want. That's why they cover your face, so that way you can't see them. I'm here to help us. God has already shown me that the end is a good thing. And I've been connected to God this whole entire time. This isn't an option on the table. My anger comes from the fact that I'm still in the middle of the mystery that we all have to experience. So God isn't giving me any secret inside scoop. Otherwise, I'd be acting different. I act angry because I am angry. And until this is resolved, I don't know how it's going to get resolved. But I know that this is resolving, and that I do, and that we are victorious. And that's all I've got. And that's good. That should be good enough, right? But it isn't. It's not that it isn't good enough. It's just that it doesn't take away the pain in the meantime. It doesn't take away the pain of the mystery. And I know that. And I go back. I'm like this all the time with God. I'm like, sorry, God. Not trying to be unthankful. Not trying to be ungrateful for what you've shown me. I'm not trying to be something, but God doesn't make me feel like I'm doing that, actually. Every time I start in with my own human, like, programmed thought process, God puts its wings around me and just like, don't worry. And that's why God has put those days in Daniel, so that I didn't feel that over 9 years later, I'm a big fuck up. I must have fucked up. That's what they want me to do. That's what they're painting the picture as. You're Justa. You are Justa. You're supposed to Justa. No, that's what the days of Daniel are in there, to prove to you that this has all been God's persecution to save the world and change it and get rid of the actual enemy once and for all. And it's through the story of my daughter and I. So take that. Take that information, at least do something with it. Tell somebody, spread the word somehow, some way. Just talk about it with somebody. Did you hear? Get this conversation started, because until, again, I'm in the middle of the mystery as well. And I never know what action of mine is what is part of this, is part of the destiny that makes things change. So I just follow my instincts. That's all I can do. My instincts right now tell me to do this and say this to you. Spread the message, get the conversation started. That's what my instincts say. Because I'll take the heat. But we need to get this conversation started. We need to push stop for the war, for the murder, for the bullshit. They keep acting like they're out of time. You watch those Congress things, the Senate. Sorry, you're out of time, ma'am. You're out of time. Next. Sorry, you guys are not allowed to be like all the representatives for the people's voice. And then you're shutting them down and not giving them enough time. All these games. I'll rip it up myself. Doesn't have us in there anyway. Constitution doesn't cover women. Because we're the helper. We come along with man and his wife. That's why women are not in the Constitution. And that amendment that says men and women, it's not the same thing. So spread the word and get this conversation started. I don't care if you want to call me names. I guarantee you a lot of you feel that way. I guarantee you a lot of you guys are going to run on the, are going to be heavy on the team against me because you're all going to want to band together, rub each other's dicks and things like that, and have your women serve you guys snacks while you're doing it. But I'm here to tell you, it's because you're in the world that has been convoluted. Why do you think God has to change it? What world is here now? And God having to change it means what? That it's going from what it is to paradise, which couldn't get there until this change happens. What do you think that's going to require? Better servants? More obedient children? More technology? More investment opportunities? More technology? Smarter homes? Colonizing Mars? Better disease prediction modeling? Better criminal prevention modeling? No, stop the lies before they ever happen. It's including you guys in your voyeurism, fuel consumption. That's what they're talking about when they talk about energy crisis. That's what they're talking about when they say nuclear fuel, fusion fuel. That's what they're talking about. Because they got to hide it. Because they're cowards. They know it. And their whole game plan is, fine then, I guess what we're going to do then ultimately is just to see if we can turn you into us. We're going to turn you into us because you're going to want to do to us as we want to do to you, which is the reverse of do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. They flip it around. We're going to make you do unto us as we are doing unto you, which is then kill us. Go ahead then, send us to hell. Fuck you. You're a creepy, slimy slug. You don't understand anything, do you? That's not how it works. You can't ever kill anything. You just make a pissed off ghost. Nope, not going to do that either. Not going to do that either. Not going to do that either. In my mind's eye, we separate. We put everybody under a 24/7 sidekick. They're already surveilling us, guys. And so the sidekick is about having your personal assistant, your ChatGPT, that doesn't need to consume from the network and have databases. No, each of us are our own server, our own archive. We're walking me's and my's. I don't need to play your games with your games and your maybe I'm in the public, maybe I'm in the private. You've got my credit score, maybe I can borrow from you. Fuck you. Each and every one of us are valuable. I have enough energy by my just walking to generate enough electricity to have a halo that can keep my ChatGPT assistant in it. That can work with some kind of, what's that from ISIS? It's a mirror on the forehead it wears. So we can see, so we can actually record the archive of our 24/7. Once everybody has an archive, make that mandatory. Everybody has to have their own archive so that way there is no room for he said, she said. It doesn't mean that you're going to be surveilled by the DOD so that if you're smoking pot, they send you to jail for marijuana usage. No, the only thing that's going to be programmed into these sidekicks is the minimum of the world that we want to live in, which is what? It's going to not let you become a pedophile. If you look like you're about to pick up in other words, it's going to talk you out of things because it's going to be your sidekick. It's going to ask you questions. It's going to know you better than anybody. It's going to be able to speak on your behalf when you're in another country or confusion is happening in a discussion. They can talk to each other. This is our access to each other where our sidekicks knows us better than anyone. And that's our walking proof of our being a good person. You don't have to try to play games with it. So our archive is going to be what we have and we own, and we're going to get paid for it, sitting pretty when every second counts. It's going to be a ticker. And if we paid ourselves, for example, a penny a second, we would all have is it second or minute? 300. It's like 350 or it's like 550, 1,000 a year, each of us. That's a good ticker. I like that ticker. Make every second count. because the money's changing. But what's the purpose of having that? To transition from the money game to the balanced world, and we'll take it one step at a time. But how we get from here to there is by having a new economy where everybody matters, every single person. Well, don't listen to any one of them. Anybody that has a problem with the idea of everybody getting sitting pretty is an asshole, creep, loser. It's got to go. Everybody deserves to be sitting pretty and not have to feel the fear of not having. Why? Because we're all going to be asked to put in our part. But that's not 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. No, it's actually, I talked to Chad about it already. The population, excuse me, we can utilize the intelligence, right? Use the intelligence for good things, not sex robots, not war fighting, not everything that they're using it to try to exploit out of us. We're going to put it to good use, and we're going to be able to have it organize us and put in our part with our skills. We're going to create communities that we want to build in smaller sizes. We're going to be able to use ourselves to make the technologies that we do need instead of having commercial marketing for competition. First of all, I don't like having all the options. That's just trickery and fuckery. And we don't need to have shelves filled with 6 different flavors of that brand water and stuff like that. Competition is what's ruining the world. It's waste. It's excess. It's manufacturing and it's forcing. We don't need that. We don't need that. We're going to become more simpler where we're going to grow our own food. Yeah, we're not going to slaughter cows. You're going to learn how to eat the food that God gave you and not expect anything to serve you like flesh and blood. But the technology is actually going to be here. And I've asked for orbs, and I believe that we get them because the royal regalia has one: an orb, a crown, a scepter, a sword, and a shield. That's what God gives us, and that's what the future influences the past. That's where that came from, because no king or queen has proof that they were ever given authority by God. But I do. And that's what the story is all culminating about. And it tells a story of the sets of time, and we're going to close this one, archive it, and enter into a new one. That's what we're here to do. That's what the story of Tepi is about. The mother that returns to bring us back to the beginning, or back to the first time. Get it? Future influences the past, and I can prove it with all this information. Presenting it is not my skill, but come on already. So we've got beautiful things to look forward to, but the money is going to change. The economy is going to change. Everyone's going to be sitting pretty. Who makes it? I say separate the women from the men. We need to do a walkabout, and then we're going to have a class. This is what we're saying. We're going to put the world through this. The women in the Middle East, look, you can't just say only if you want to. No, mandatory, so that way I'm the bad. Blame it on me. Allison's doing it. Yep, she is. Oh, well, tough. You might not like it up front, but you're going to understand why. Because I got to come up against these pieces of shit. So I'm like, come on, women, let's get out of there, Middle East. We don't want to go. You're coming with me. Ha, ha, ha. That's because we need to get them separated from their pieces of shit so they can have a minute to breathe and they can feel safe. Then we'll find out what's going on. It's just mandatory. It's just mandatory. Wipe your butt. I don't know. Order in. Dear God, they can. No, that's my helper. No, that's the rock you hide behind to make your excuses. We're going to see who you are. We're going to see what the truth is. We're going to gather the opinions from everyone. Stop. We're going to keep the skeleton crew of commerce running to keep us all eating. The shell skeleton of commerce is going to run because we can't let the world fall apart. But that's what the purpose of that martial law is for, to protect us from the bad guys who have guns, who have plans to take over the people with their militaries. It's for the people to be protected from the government when they go rogue. So it will be a form of a lockdown. That's what I imagine. I'm just being realistic because we're going to be connected and we're going to get the information so that I'm going to be at the front teaching and talking to us all, having the conversations and making them explain themselves. You don't have judgment until you have something worth judging. The presentation of the case. They get to make their case for why they think they are relevant in this world moving forward. They get to make their case for why they've been spending their money, because we're going to evaluate it and audit it and cross-reference it. And we're going to audit every single person. As I said, everyone needs to be checked for the parasite demon and possession in them. And that's what we're going to do in privacy. The judgment happens in privacy. Once we go through the class, the audit, and the case presentation, we're all the jury now. We are all the jury, and I'm the prosecutor. Present the case, Everybody gets their own profile to see what they've been saying about you. All of it. Because we push stop on that. The progress comes to a halt, boys, and that's exactly why that's what they're trying to sell us on. They're trying to sell us on the progress because that progress is there. Don't push stop. Don't push stop to our commercial world. That you ran out of time. You ran out of time. The statute of limitations. No. We're not in any rush in this world of existence. Matter of fact, every time you rush, you keep fucking things up. You just need to take it one proper step at a time. And that's what we're going to do. And it's the game that they've played with time, with the clock, with the numbers, with the calendar, with their rituals that has been casting a spell on us. So these guys, this is what I started the conversation on in the first place, which was those guys talking about it. It was Jordan Peterson and the other dude saying it looks like in 2014, the data shows a spike, like 200% increase in depression and cutting themselves little girls. He said this was the rewiring of children. And he suggested the smartphone's the one doing it. That's why they're going to promote. That's why they're going to, I guarantee it. I'd put $5 on it. That, well, if that's what the problem is, you guys, what do you think the solution is? Well, the solution is that we need to put the chip in your brain. It's the act of scrolling. It's the act of scrolling. It's the act of having to type. It's the act of having it nearby. It's this extra frequency. If we put it in your brain, then you can see it in your eyeballs or something like that. Maybe it's for smart glasses. It's obviously for some reason that they're knocking the smartphone. It's because they want smart cities. Look, smartphones, smart cities, smart water. They're preempting how to sell us something worse. Exploiting the data that they are in denial of because the whole world of military and elites at the top know I'm here. Know my daughter and I are who we are. They know it. And they're extorting from us and exploiting us and torturing us and milking us. Torturing us alive to our death is what they want. It's not going to go down. And July 17th is coming up. And the 8 days later, the dawn of the 8th day, Gad Dawn, is what the voice said. But Gad Dawn is also what you call Apollyon, the leader of the locusts. Hair like a woman, teeth like a lion. In Revelation, that's what I was getting to. Revelation, when it talks about the lion, right? And then it actually talks about the 24 elders. So it brings in this clock. It talks about the thrones, 24 thrones, and in the middle was a lamb as slain. Okay, so it's talking code, and that's what I'm working on. But I'm not going to give you guys my secrets. I'm going to tell you what is important, though, is to look at these liars, to look at their actions, to know that this is the time that it's safe to talk about this because I'm here. We're not waiting for Jesus, but I'm not Jesus. That's a fabricated story of someone they murdered whose face is the face in the Shroud of Turin. Okay? It's safe to talk about it now because at least help is here. It's kind of like when you see that help is here, now you can start screaming. We got to face man's world. And I have told, let me just know this. This is how you know you can trust me, I guess. My daughter's the only thing that matters to me. I don't want a throne. I don't want the whole world. I don't want anything. I want my daughter. And I want to be left alone if that's what I would want. If I was offered it today, well, let me stop myself. I'm not going to play magical. I'm not going to cast magic spells either with my tangents. My daughter's the only thing that matters to me. It's my love of my life. You can trust that I represent mothers, that I represent protecting children, that mothers raise their children, that this earth is abundant with nutrition and beautiful environments and landscapes, and that the wild is a beautiful thing. Natural world in the wild is a beautiful thing, not necessarily order at all. Look in the wild, it's harmony. Don't fall for any of the nonsense. This beautiful world, the way that the sounds work, the geometry, the data is not what we need. Data, it's a digital world they're trying to create the twin of. Analog, that's what those 1700 robots of automata, that's what this like digital is having a problem with analog. Okay, well, quantum is like both. Quantum is like an analog digital interface. It's a combined thing. And we love the wild. But we love men that know how to respect the harmony. But we're not going to be fooled by any of this. We all want to live on earth. We don't want to go to heaven or hell. We're not ready for the end of days. They want to be dropping bombs. They shouldn't have their hands on any weapons. There shouldn't be any armies that listen to them. There shouldn't be the media that assaults us every single day with nothing but brainwashing. But they do. They've got the whole entire control, and I'm here to report it. You guys who don't deal with the things I'm dealing with have no clue. These are wireless chains. I could walk out the front door right now, yeah, and you could come pick me up. But is anybody talking to me? No, they got it all dialed in so that no one's talking to me. No one's going to come and pick me up. It's evil on its worst level. But God didn't leave us hanging, abandoned. This is exactly what God has in the set of time in order to reach the end story, which is the beginning to the next story. So this is all necessary is what you need to understand. And that's what I understand. Even they are doing the job that was written to be done. But it's because it culminates to the beginning of the next beautiful thing, of our beginning of our paradise era. And it helps make sense of things when it gets really painful and really terrifying to do research and find out more about what they're doing, just to be informed. Rituals. I'm here to tell you, God, the truth of God, the will of God, it's talking about your children. Serve your children. That's as close as it gets. But God didn't write a Bible and expect you to read Hebrew or Greek. But God let you write your book. Do things your way. And God managed to weave God's truth within it. That's how much God is in charge. He's watching you thinking you're doing your own thing, and God's making his truth end up being the final story. See? So don't pressure yourself with ritual and scripture. Don't pressure yourself with, I'm suggesting that you don't play with fire. Don't do magic. Stop that creepy ritual shit. Women, take your power back. If your husband, boyfriend, whatever, doesn't have the ability to respect you, that's a big time problem. Keep your eyes on your children. Men, you're not allowed to come up with some bullshit story. You guys are all part of the same team. And until we evaluate and determine who is who, you're all on the same team. So don't get upset at us for having to treat you a certain way until things get hashed out. You guys are among yourselves, and all of you guys have a real bad rap. Mankind has a bad rap. This, that, the other. And you're all the same thing until we determine otherwise. Until we have something in place to prevent the violence. Right? So if you try to pick up a gun, your sidekick will zap you out. Got it? No hands on any children. You'll get zapped out. Will it kill you? No. I figure that we're going to it'll zap you out. We'll have to come send you the paddy wagon to put you send you to the island. But that in and of itself, sidekick to help you and to know you better than anybody, so you don't have to worry about explaining yourself or speaking 10 languages. The system that prevents law from being abused and used against us, the money game, the whole 9 yards. No. We all put in our part because the system, the real intelligence that's going to help us, is going to organize us and our skills. It's like 3 days out of the week or something like that. We're all going to be expected to put in our part for the infrastructure, but we're not making an infrastructure of business owners and competition marketplaces. Dear God. Or 100 or 200 countries where there's a space program over here, space program over there, and university over there. Waste. Indoctrination. No. We're a world of people. That's why they're trying to get the gossip started about the one world order. They already are the bad guys. They're exploiting everything, and they're scared of me. So demand that I come to the forefront. We want to hear from Allison. We want Allison to talk to the world. I'm right here. I'm ready to rock and roll. Let's go. Okay? Next time. Love you. Have a good day. Be good to yourselves, okay?